Yeah, it's probably the weather. It has me feeling a little bit like it's still very early.
What is
The darkness of the skies.
we got 2 more weeks, you're gonna get an extra hour of sunlight, so that'll make a big difference. You
Yeah.
get that, what's it called, seasonal affective disorder?
I,
My mother
I've
used to
never
get it.
identified it, but
It's very common.
yeah, I know.
There's no medicine for it, by the way. There's no medicine.
Sunshine.
Sunshine, you're right, sunshine is different. But darkness is good. A lot of people get it.
I don't have anything against darkness.
Well, the thing that I don't like about darkness sometimes, you can't control it. It's gonna get dark, it's gonna get dark. You can't escape darkness sometimes, especially I've done a lot of traveling and I've been in some dark places and there's no light, there's just no place. It's dark everywhere. It's just dark. It's like the jungle, the savannah, it's dark. gets a little bit claustrophobic from darkness, you know what I mean? You got a big event coming up in March? You try to make one of those events, those chestnut events that you set out?
Yeah, I think it'd be good if we could all try to be
Yeah,
there.
I'm gonna try, I'd mark it down for sure.
This is the 19th, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be good to bring us all up to speed on what's happening with them and help.
The chestnuts, are they dying all over the country or just in this area?
Oh, everywhere.
Everywhere they're dying, in America? Really?
Yeah, well, some have survived, and some has apparently had some natural resistance. Part of what I think we'll maybe learning about in March is that there is the tree that is identified as the American chestnut tree. And that's the one that the foundation has been focusing on, but it's not the only native chestnut to the continent. And there's been mixing over thousands of years and stuff. So to try to like rescue the American chestnut tree is a little bit well, it's a little contrary to nature in a sense, but the thing about that tree is that it's so magnificent.
That's why people stay interested in it.
You know, huge and
Are there groves of chestnut trees around anybody?
well, more than half the trees in this valley were chestnut trees just a little over a century ago. By the time
There was a blight, is that what it was, like a bug or something?
it's a fungus.
Does it ever die out, the fungus? Or only when
Not so. They haven't figured out how to kill it.
it's still around, the same fungus?
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's so far of the trees they've managed to develop some trees using traditional hybridizing kinds of techniques. They've managed to get trees that are semi-resistant. You know, they're less likely to get the blight or die from the blight, but they still get it and they still die. So
Yeah, eventually.
yeah. But you know, if a tree comes up from the roots of an old tree, it could last 40, 50
It
years.
comes off the natural,
Well, you know, wherever it comes from, but those are the,
so the chestnut, does it put out, obviously seeds, does it put out like little acorns, or that's it? Are these things
and if you look in grocery stores, you'll see chestnuts for sale.
correct?
They're little smooth skin brown things. And,
People roast them or something, eat it, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
they're
these
good.
come out of, this is natural, and right now this is unaffected. It's there, this has not been affected by fungus yet.
Well, I don't know. What happens with the fungus is it gets in the system, and it migrates to the tree, and at some point, and I'm not sure exactly what triggers it, but it will form a canker. You know, a bark disturbance, a swelling, and what happens is that the canker will go all the way around, and when that happens, then everything above that dies.
Shut off the root system.
Yeah. So, hi Mary.
Lots of cars out there, walking to a full room.
Well, we're not going to be a lot of people today, unfortunately. I expect so. And if a quorum is half plus one, what do you have when you have 5 members? And when there are 5 members, what's the quorum if there's 5 members, period? If we have 3, if it's 3, then we're good. If it's 4, yeah. Okay. So we need one more. We need one more member to be able to have an official meeting today. The Arrington is sick, so she won't be here. Yeah. Um, she's been fighting a bug for a while now. She called me up and said she wasn't going to make it. But Mason is also, well, he's not sick, but he's out of town, so he's not going to be here. And Mason had made arrangements to be able to get it online, get the meeting online while which is it's always there for people to do, but he's set it up, I believe, or they set it up for him so that he will be able to talk and participate in that sense, but not vote. Yeah, and he won't count toward a quorum. And since that was already being done for him, then Arrington is going to probably also participate from bed because she's sick, but at least they'll know what's going on.
Wait, she's not feeling well?
Right.
Yeah, I saw her, she missed the Board of Adjustment meeting.
You should go back and watch the Board of Adjustment meeting. They've been having Zoom problems. You could not see it. And they showed it later, that's happening. Not in Zoom.
They've been having what problems? Like,
The Zoom, if you try to watch it live, I won't say more often, there've been a number of times in which you could not view all the views. Even though Josh was here. It happened more than it should. More than it should. One should be, it should never happen. Yeah. Joe would probably know, but and they had Josh here last time. But you should take the opportunity to go out and watch, ask these board members.
yeah.
Brought up some really good points. Oh, no. Really good points. One of which I
Hey,
Just the 3 of us?
I think that's going to be it as far as in the room is concerned. Others may be watching.
Mason going?
Mason's out of town and Arrington's sick.
Huh?
Mason is out of town and Arrington is sick. They both may be watching, but they can't vote.
So overall, was the thing all right, or was it the type out that I did, or did you not get it?
Yeah, I got it, and then I couldn't find it. That's my fault,
Well,
and I need to figure that out. I think it needed more fleshing out stuff. So, do you have maybe a few minutes after we're done today? We can talk about. Actually, let me go ahead and say this much. If as you go, you just use this for taking notes
yeah,
and like who's here. When we get down to agenda just say, make a note that it was
Okay.
adopted and minutes, I'm not trying to approve minutes this time because I think we want to work on it some. But,
Yeah,
but
no,
just go ahead and just make your notes on that and that'll help your memory, as you go.
Knowing that the last time we didn't know whatever. I guess no burying them either, huh?
They had a tree emergency or something that couldn't be left, so they're working on a tree. Well, I think it's time that we
Thank you. Hey, Todd.
See,
Mary, do you want a copy of the agenda? Such as it is. Sorry I didn't. Okay. I think 3 is a quorum. And I don't know. I don't see any indication that there's anybody else listening in. I should go ask Angie about that. On what? I have not heard from Savannah, so. Yeah.
Finishing up early voting.
I'm going down to there.
We got something covered for 12, 2, and 4. It's been a decent turnout. We're averaging about 125 a day. It's about average.
Hot Mountain is a very, have you voted yet?
Oh, yeah. We voted.
I just couldn't figure out the early voting thing.
Well, you got from between today and Friday, you got 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
No, thing is that for like Boston County stuff.
Did you go to the poll? Oh, it's very easy. You walk in.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like,
Are you Republican or Democrat?
no, I'm just saying like how like the Republicans are doing all that thing, but Democrats, that's why I couldn't figure out why they were doing early voting around here because,
Well, we have contested, in the Democratic side, there are contested votes.
I'm a Democrat. If you don't, if you don't vote Democrat, that won't be used to do.
so this is just basically for North Carolina.
That's all, yeah.
Just the people that you're eligible to vote for.
Yeah, I thought, no, like when they were doing, like, indicating it, that they were just trying to,
Oh, that's Republican.
no, but I'm just trying,
And that would be on the Republican ballot.
yeah, no, I'm just saying like overall, going around, just trying to see who was in, but I
Would
figured,
you want to vote? Meet me at 12 at the poll.
I can't read that clock from
It's
here.
9.
It's after 9.
That I know,
Nine
yeah.
34.
Yes, that's what I've got on my watch, but I was looking at the clock to see if it agreed. Okay, so situation is that Mason is out of town and Arrington is ill, but both of them may be viewing us from remote station and, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And it's going to be set up so that they would be able to speak.
Oh, great.
If you're not in the room, you can't be counted as part of a quorum and you can't vote. But at least, okay.
That's good.
So, I don't know how this is supposed to, there's no picture of Mason there? Is his image there?
On the screen, what that means, I have no idea.
Okay.
And I'm not going to.
We'll
Okay.
assume that he's viewing.
So, Mason, assuming that you're able to hear me at this point, you might try turning on your video if it's not on, or also turning on your mic. And I think you're supposed to be able to participate in the conversations in this meeting, even though since you're not present, you would not be able to vote or count as part of the quorum. But as far as I can figure, with a committee of 5, 3 is a quorum. So I think we're legitimately going ahead with our meeting here today. So let's take a minute to center ourselves, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's get ourselves going here. I was just passing out a piece of paper, and I gave everybody one, but I didn't keep one for myself. Is there an extra one that you see? Okay, great, thank you. Did you get a copy?
Yes, I got one.
Okay. I'll explain that when the time comes. Okay, agenda. I believe I sent the agenda out to everybody.
Mhm.
You got it? Okay.
Yes.
I don't think it has changed since then, but are there any additions or corrections that need to be made to that?
I would only ask, the treasure trees, would that be new business or old business? It's listed under new business.
I wasn't sure if it was, I knew it was treasured trees, but I didn't know if you were going to bring up something that would be
Yeah,
considered
there's a
new.
few issues we have to decide upon today.
Okay.
So-
You know, definitely you're on the agenda. I just
Okay,
wasn't
great.
sure whether
Yes,
to
if
put
it's
it on
new
the
or old,
order.
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Should I move to accept the agenda?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I move that we accept the agenda.
Okay. Any discussion about that? If there's no objection, we'll consider it adopted. Okay. And minutes are not ready as yet. I kind of dropped the ball myself in working with Tyler on doing the minutes or getting them ready. And so they're not ready today, and we'll probably bring it up next time for January and February. Which brings us to public comments. We do have a public person. Hi, Mary.
Mary Standard, 118 Terrace. And thank you for being here. Those who thank you for attending as well. I have some thoughts about one of the items under old business.
I don't think it's done. I don't think it's done.
Microphone, the switch should be pulled towards you.
Is it on now?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
That sounds better.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, just
That's
for,
You're
for,
on.
for posterity and Zoom.
You're on. You're definitely on.
It's on.
I have a microphone voice as well as a speaking voice and then my conversational voice. So I can do either of the three. Mary Standard, 118 Shenandoah Terrace, Montreat, North Carolina. Thank you for being here so that we have a quorum, can move forward. And for those who are on Zoom, thank you as well. I do have some comments about the one of the items under old business. If you would like, I can wait to see how that progresses, and if the chair wishes, I can speak to that at that point in time, or I can, as your own conversations progress, or I can make some comment now if you don't want to do it that way.
Is that on the right-of-way closures?
Yes.
Okay. I know that you've got an interest in that, and I guess this would probably need the agreement of the rest of the board. I'd be fine with having Mary speak to the issue when it comes around on the agenda.
Thank you, and then I can listen to what y'all have to say as well. Thank you very much for that.
Okay. Okay. So, reports. The only thing I've put down there for myself as part of the report is Arbor Day. Yeah.
What is the actual calendar date of Arbor Day?
You know, it's okay. The situation that I've become aware of is that the Land Care went ahead and decided on a date for Arbor Day, and they've been moving ahead with that. Somehow we did not get put in the loop. The people who are organizing it, I think, are just new to how things are structured here. So we are not at this. They went ahead and announced that Tree Board was in it, although we hadn't talked about it yet. So we kind of need doing a little catch up here today, and we'll need to decide what we want to do about it.
I think their date was May 4th. Is that
May
correct?
4th? That sounds about right.
Plant sale day. Is that
Yeah.
Arbor Day, plant sale, the same thing?
Well, that's the confusion. It's not really the same thing, and in order to have an Arbor Day, we also need to get a mayor's proclamation about Arbor Day, but
Is Arbor Day the Tree Board's responsibility or Land Care's responsibility?
it's ours.
It's ours, okay. So,
So, there's been this kind of annual discussion about when to put arbitrary. A lot of municipalities do celebrate Arbor Day in the spring, around April, May time. It's, we could do it anytime. It's a little bit of odd in terms of tree planting, because really the best time to plant a lot of trees is in the fall. So there would make some sense to do an Arbor Day with tree planting kind of emphasis and do it in the fall. And there was one year in which we were going to do that, and then COVID happened and everything got changed. But
So would you prefer that we have Arbor Day, since it's our responsibility, on the same day as Land Care's Plant Sale Day? Because I'm coming to a
Okay.
point. What's your preference as a chair?
I'm ambivalent about it because of the confusion about Arbor Day and plant sale, because plant sale becomes a big thing and everybody gets focused on plant sale and they hardly notice Arbor Day. So I think if we're going to participate at the same time with them, then we need to find some way of emphasizing it. And when the committee will need to put some effort into organize Arbor Day in a way that gets more attention.
So what would your feelings be, and this will be part of my report, of combining the Treasure Tree dedication with Arbor Day?
I think that'd be fine.
Okay, so I'll make a report with that in mind later.
Okay.
Maybe that'll solve the problem.
All right.
I think doing the plant, being there for the plant sale will help Black Mountain people that come up to the plant and get them to help pitch in and wanting to get those plaques start picking up and trying to get some Montreat and Black Mountain people to start pushing more
Yeah.
tree stuff up here than where we're not in any.
Yeah, and maybe Ed has some ideas about how to, particularly in this first time around on it, how to involve people from Black Mountain as well. So that certainly could be part of a part of it.
So, but Arbor Day is our responsibility?
Yes.
Tree board. Okay.
The history of Arbor Day is that whoever it was, whenever it was, had this idea that trees needed to be planted in an area where there aren't that many trees, and they created this big public event, and they planted thousands of trees. And it was Iowa or Kansas or whatever's out in the plains, and it grew from there. And the emphasis has always been on planting trees. I'm struggling still on trying to figure out myself in a town that has many more trees than there are people, what that can mean for mean for Montreat,
Well,
so
I think today is the 27th of February, and I have a date in mind which I'll discuss, which may give us 2 months to plan out Arbor Day, which we'll probably have to do in between our meetings. So
Okay.
I think we have enough time to plan a nice event,
all right.
along with the Swan River Valley Tree Alliance.
Okay, so I think we're getting ahead of
We're
ourselves
getting
here a
ahead of
little bit.
ourselves.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
On reports, okay, so Mason, I still don't see you on the screen here, and I haven't heard you, but if you can, speak up. If you can't, maybe let Angie know. Okay. So I'm not hearing from Mason, although he's maybe participating. Arrington likewise is not here. She's ill today and was going to try to listen in on the meeting as well. Town manager is not present. Public Works, Barry and Daniel both are involved in dealing with an urgent tree situation where I didn't quite understand his terminology when he sent me a note about it, but a problem tree that they're having to address with urgently today rather than come here, so. What brings us down to the people in the room. Ed, your report, and there's also going to be time for treasure trees later, so however you want to.
Well, my report involves treasure trees, so should I just make it now or wait until?
Go ahead, let's go ahead and do it with your
All right,
report.
so, first of all, this is a list by tree, of every tree that's been nominated, by address. You want a copy, Mary? Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
These are the, and I have not moved forward until this meeting to do what I need to do. And what I have to do is make a presentation to each one of these landowners. You can see like the top line says who the tree owner is and the address of the tree. And then a little further down, you see the tree species. Okay, and these are the 14 trees that have been nominated by the Swanano Valley Tree Alliance in Montreat by address and species, okay? And what I need to do is make a presentation to each one of these people to get them to basically sign off and go, yeah, it's okay to put up the plaque. And this is the plaque, that sample plaque. And it'll have, it'll say Swanano Valley Tree Alliance, the treasure tree, the type of tree, I guess the Latin name, the biological name, and have a little bit of history of the tree, and that's a QR code, which if somebody puts your phone on, I guess it'll tell them about this specific tree. And then right in the corner, you see these logos of like Greenworks and SVM. We're going to put our Montreat, Town of Montreat logo or whatever we decide as a board, what proper logo should go in here, okay? And then the sponsor by is what I'm working on, is trying to sell, or get someone to sponsor the cost of this plaque along with an additional donation. The cost of the plaque is $50. I've sold 3 already. So basically asking for the $50 and an additional $50 as a donation for them to do. But I waited to give them the final number until I get the approval from the board if that's the proper thing, $50 for the cost of the plaque, and then an additional $50 as a donation, which would go into some type of fund, educational fund for the tree board. But that's up for discussion. It's not for me to decide. Okay.
So, the, having sponsor on it, that a additional price or that 50 altogether? So like if you wanted someone to,
Oh, okay, I hear what you're asking. So if somebody says, I'll pay for the cost of the plaque that's going on the tree on my property, I'll give you the 50, but beyond that, I don't want to contribute? Is that what you're asking me?
yeah, let's just say, Mr. Reuter's plumber said I'll take the plaque, but my business has to be on it. That what you mean, or
Okay.
like a sponsor?
Yes, in other words, most of these plaques that have been put up around town are usually in memory of, in honor of, or something happened here
Okay,
85 years ago.
okay,
Okay. Is that what you're asking?
yeah,
Okay, yes. It's not a requirement. It's just, you know
Yeah.
what, it's on my property, well, there's a couple private
yeah,
owners
like
here.
the Ron Venter working there.
Whatever they want to put
Yeah.
on there, as long as it's proper, you know, obviously, which I'm
Okay.
sure it will be. Like, there's a couple trees here that actually are on private owners. I'm looking for them here. This is at the Elizabeth Lord Husk property.
Actually, that's owned by
Oh. It's owned by a church, so I'll have to contact the church. Okay, and I have to call them up and say, hey, you've got a white oak tree on your property that's been nominated to be a treasure tree,
Okay.
which leads me into this. I don't know how many people saw this in the February 15th issue of the Black Mountain News, but we made the front page.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Yeah.
made the front page. So I actually, and I'm in sales, by the way. So I went out and I used to be anyway, laminated a copy of the article, and this is what I'll be showing to people. That, you know, I'm just here to collect money from you guys. It really did happen. It
Yeah.
really wasn't a newspaper, it's a real program. So, this is what I'm gonna show people. And the thing is, we're gonna get, there's only really three entities involved. There's the MRA, there's the town, and there's, I think, only two actual property owners in this whole package. I don't think I'll anticipate much problem with them, as far as getting the approvals.
Yeah.
Yeah. College is the third.
Yeah, but we don't have any trees on their property that were nominated. We never went that far up into the town when we did this first walk around. So, having said that, the Swanano Valley Tree Alliance and I spoke. They had two dates in mind. One was April 26th, which I think is I think it's a Saturday. I'll have to look for sure, but I'll tell you in a minute. It's April the 27th, sorry, or May 4th. They wanted to have a big deal. They wanted to come by with all the plaques ready to go, have a ceremony, go tree to tree, talk about the trees, put them on with the special type of hinges they use. And really make it a big deal. I said, well, I can't give you the okay until I speak with the tree board. So those are the two dates, and that's why, getting back to what I talked about, if you want to do Arbor Day on the 27th of April,
So
this
by,
maybe will be the bulk of our program. In addition, we can add to it, maybe we can plant some trees, like you said. Just-
But you mentioned May 4th. Is that the
That's a planned sale day.
plant day sale day?
So I actually did see Mrs. Cox in the post office. I mentioned to her, I said, I told her to call you. I said, if you wanted to do a joint program between Land Care and Tree Board, you could speak to the chair. So maybe she's not feeling well, she didn't make that phone call. But if you want to have something separate, since you told me now that the Tree Board is responsible for Arbor Day, I think we should do something separate from Land Care. And that's for a discussion, that's why.
so how long do they, do we have to give them like a month notice?
They need about 3 weeks to produce these.
Okay, so basically, next month to
We've
decide.
we've got enough time at this point to do either of those dates, right?
Well, to do the dates for sure, but we need to let them know that they plan ahead. I mean, they're busy, and if we're not going to do
Right.
the 27th of April or the 4th of May, they'll move on to another project on those dates. And I need time to go and get these things dedicated
Yeah.
by the
Okay.
owners, and they, the time to produce the actual plaques, which takes about 3 weeks.
So what's involved in having Arbor Day celebration here is it's expected that there be a proclamation. And generally, that's the mayor that does a proclamation. So it's not a big deal, but I would need to contact
The mayor.
the mayor, the town council, and get them to do a proclamation at their next meeting.
Which is the second Thursday of May, which shouldn't be a problem. They're not going to say
Yeah.
no, are they? No.
So,
No,
yeah,
You'll write it up. Okay, so we can assume that's going to happen, right?
yeah, as long as I
And
don't go to
actually,
sleep.
there's another meeting, I guess, the second Thursday of April, which is
yeah,
really,
and they'll meet next, 2 weeks, they'll meet town council, so.
Well, we're not even in March yet. We can
right,
even
right.
do
So
it
we
by
have 2
the,
board meetings before
at least, yeah.
the 27th.
So I don't think it's a problem to get them. So what it means is we need to make a decision about when we would like it to happen.
Correct.
And, talk about what would be involved in either of the cases that have been mentioned here today. And,
Well, the SVTA, they'll plan the program out. They'll take care of that part with our input, as far as the tree dedications go. And we can bill it any way they want. I mean, they're very flexible people.
okay.
Is that too soon, you think? April 27th?
No.
I don't think so.
I mean,
It's
Like
basically 2
Dan-
months from today.
It's within the realm of what has typically been done, but it's also been typically done with the plant sale happening
On the same day?
on the same day.
Oh, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't, So personally, I would kind of like the idea of us getting Arbor Day up to where it's expected that it'll be its own event. But I'm really questioning whether that's happening yet.
What do you mean?
I don't know, it would take a lot of work for us to get town attention to the extent that people would come out for an Arbor Day that wasn't also connected with the plant sale.
I think I agree with that, other than the fact that I think if this becomes a part of our Arbor Day, at least in this year, I don't think we'll have much problem
So what,
getting the crowd. If that's your concern.
Well, it's a concern.
so what do you mean by like Arbor Day, like having the national wildlife people come out? And,
Usually what has happened has been that there's been a reading of the proclamation, and the mayor or somebody that the mayor asks to do it. It could be our town manager, it could be the mayor pro tem. Mason actually did it last year. And we have a table. At some years we have had a speaker or two that are there specifically to talk about something to do with trees. And I think that's a good thing to do. There's been a little bit of leaning amongst the land care people to not have as many, to not try to do as many presentations and things as they've done in the past, because those tend to compete a little bit with the sale of the plants, and the educational things kind of suffer. So I think Arbor Day that we present, whenever it happens, will be primarily an educational
what
event.
about doing it like on a Wednesday summer club event kind of thing? We got a lot of Montreaters, and they want different new things for summer club. And just,
Well, I'm not sure that summer club will be happening yet.
no, usually they do it like in 4 weeks or 5 weeks in July,
Right.
every Wednesday,
Yeah.
where they have different activity and do something then just to make it different for them and to push our stuff out more than just not letting Montreater know what really the tree board or any of that stuff is right now.
I think that's worth thinking about. Personally, I think we should stick with one of the two dates that have been mentioned, April 27th or the May 4. Those are the ones. And my leaning, I think, would be towards the May 4 date, because that's the one that plant sale is happening. It's on the May 4. With the treasured tree things being happening at the same day, I think that'll get a good attention. I'm sure it'll be done well.
I'll try again. Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can. Hi,
Okay,
Mason.
I've been on the phone. Angie's fixed it so you can hear me talk,
we can hear you.
but I'll try to keep my mouth shut.
Well, I'm glad you spoke up.
Thanks.
And as I understand it, you're welcome to speak, and even if we can't see you, and although you can't vote, so that's it.
Have you heard any?
I assure you I've been here the entire time, but we've just fixed the sound glitch, so we're
Okay,
good to
so
go. Thank you.
Great.
You've been
great.
able to hear everything we've talked about?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
So I'm going to agree with Brad. I think if you can get the okay from Arrington to do it the same day, would
Yeah, I think that's not a problem.
Okay, great. And then I think that'd be a great idea, to do the treasure tree on the same day as land care.
Or even if we did it, the booth on, Anderson Auditorium died.
Yeah, we can plan the program out, but I think
So
it'd be
it'd
good
be-
to have all those people, because they will bring a lot of people.
Yeah,
This, you know, this is important to them, for all kinds
Okay,
of
well,
reasons.
that sounds potentially exciting, yes.
Okay.
So then, is it time to make a motion about the date?
I think so.
Okay. So it would be on May 4?
May 4th, which is a Saturday, I believe.
And we may
Should
plan additional things to go along with that, but
May 4th is a
I would take the responsibility of making sure we have a proclamation by the mayor
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah, and you know, everything falls in
I'll
place.
take responsibility to let the SVTA know May 4th, and they'll tell me exactly what the program involves. There'll be some printed literature on their behalf, I know that, along with maps.
That's
And
great.
we'll incorporate it into a program. We've got 60 days, well, not, we've got a little more than 60 days now to do that, and we'll get it done.
I have been assuming that they might want to do a table as well, you know, literature or whatever.
I don't know exactly what.
If they
other than,
if
you
they
know,
would
go
have-
to every tree, they affix the plaque, they talk about it, they move on to the next tree. Now, 14's a lot. They did tell me
Yeah.
we may not get them all, to them already, but
Okay.
enough to make it.
So would there be a walk around to look at the trees?
Yeah, we'll go tree to tree and put these things.
or maybe just do the upper part of,
We could, you know, a lot of it'll be up to us, what we want to tell them to do.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, that may give that a little bit of thought, but
Okay.
there could be, like, for those people that would like to do it, have a hike.
okay, that's
Yeah.
all up, you
A
know.
treasure
see-
tree
See how
hike.
exciting this is getting? Sounds like a fun day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
or just make that one right on the corner of the parking lot,
Sure.
be the
Absolutely.
grand opening one kind of thing.
I agree with everything you guys said. It's all good.
Okay. So,
One more thing as part of your motion, the cost. Are you guys okay with the $100 that I'm gonna be asking people for? Or do you think it should be more?
and that would be broken down, there's the cost of the plaque,
It's $50,
yeah.
and then I'm suggesting we ask for an additional $50, $100 total, and the other 50 would go into some type of fund, I don't know.
Okay.
I would just say 75, at least $25.
Okay, I'm up, that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So, then there's the question, because sometimes when the treasure trees comes up, the one thing that's not fully enthusiastic is people's concern about it not becoming a thing where people are finding ways of putting plaques all over town with people's names on them and things like that. So, are there any kind of guidance that we would want to have from the start on issues like that?
Well, my only issue was when I made the presentation to the town commissioners, I did tell them the trees would have plaques, so that isn't an unknown, and they said that was fine.
And then it has to be.
There'll be no treasure trees nominated without the approval of the tree board and the town commissioners in the future, I can tell you that. This is not, you know, anybody's, you know, I can see a treasure tree, and I call them up, and I say, hey, I found a beautiful tree at such and such, on John Knox, come put a plaque up. No, that's not gonna happen that way. It's a
So
form-
if somebody wanted to do, to sponsor one, I guess would be the way to say it, and in memory of a family member, how is that handled, or would that be a
You
possibility?
mean it's not part of the nominated ones?
You mean
Well,
like-
I mean, right now, we're only dealing with 14 trees
right,
that have been, you know, nominated by the who have met a certain criteria. Not, hey, I saw a nice tree, I want to nominate it. These trees have met a certain criteria that's been designed by
I'd
the
like
Swanano
to-
Valley Tree Alliance.
Yeah.
Not by, hey, let's find 14 trees and try to,
Or like the
Okay.
ones that are on MRA property or,
So would any of these nominated ones here, these 14, be in honor of a deceased person or some such thing?
well, I'll let you know as soon as I can sell them. I've got to call the MRA now that I got these forms, and I got whoever the right person is, and go, here's the program.
Okay.
You know, we'd like to go out and, you know, put a plaque on the tree at the cost of $50, $75, $100.
Yeah.
And they're gonna tell me, hey, you can do it, but no, you can't sell them on our property. And that'll be that. And I think the SVTA has told me they have money in their account to cover those types of situations.
No.
I mean, I don't know if the MRA will allow us to put those types of plaques on their trees with the memory for a cost. I don't know. I haven't made that call yet. that
Yeah,
phone call.
there are trees around town on MRA property that have plaques, but they're just names, they're just
Right.
tree names.
Correct.
So,
And they may want only that.
yeah.
Okay, this is nice, treasure tree, white oak, whatever the Italian, the biological name is, with a QR code about the tree, and they may say that's all we want on our plaque. I'm sure that'll be fine with them.
So maybe it would cover it if we just say, yes, let's move ahead with it, and after you've been around and talked to people, and you'll bring it back to the board to say, yeah, that sounds good.
I don't want to wait till the 26th of March. We're getting late. That's our next week, 26th of March.
Yeah.
It's going to be late.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I just need the okay from you guys to move forward, to go out and
Yeah.
try and get the cost of the plaque plus a donation, okay?
okay. Yeah.
Now, I only have to make 3 or
Okay.
5 phone calls. I've got to make a call to the MRA, which covers, I think, about 9 or 10 of these 14. I got to call the town and see what goes on here. That's about 3 or 4 of them, and I think there's 2 or 3 private owners.
There's 2 or 3
It's
on the
not
private
14
property.
individual phone calls. One
Okay.
decision is the MRA, that's 9 decisions.
All right.
Yeah.
so, okay, so I'll make that motion with the amounts that you mentioned, and,
Let's go for 50 and 50. Does that work for you guys?
Okay.
If someone says they can't afford it, well, can you afford it? It's fine, too.
okay. All right.
Okay.
So
you wanna make
we,
a motion?
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
think I just made a motion.
Okay, what is it again? We better write that. You ready?
That we move ahead with the Treasure Tree project, that we're authorizing Ed to take the next step of getting people to sign up with.
Sponsor the,
Sponsor
the
that.
plaques up to a total of $100.
Okay. So,
And you want to include that motion, the date of May 4th, as one big motion?
yes.
And the dedication will take place on May 4th.
Well, actually, let's say the May 4th. It will be that, but I want to do that as a separate thing
Okay,
because of
fine.
Arbor Day.
Okay, just that I've got the okay to go out and find sponsors for the 14 trees at a cost not to exceed $100 per plaque.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. So is this kept, said
You
I
can
can
have
keep,
that,
I
yes.
can
Yeah,
keep it
it's
with the
Each
minutes?
tree, location, and species.
Okay. All right, so, I guess we're still in reports. Tyler, it's your turn. Is there anything you want to speak to the board about?
No, I think with getting the plaque stuff going, that me and Ed started 3 months ago, going around with people, and now finally pushing it to get going, I think.
Okay.
Good that we're moving on it now.
I've got a question for you. So you're out in the community all the time, amongst the trees and the brush and this and that. Is there anything you can bring back to our committee that you see out there that, I only go up and down the streets?
Yeah, I've seen a couple dead trees, but Barry and them already had someone come up to cut them out about a month ago, so that were in danger.
Okay, good. No,
Stuff.
that's good. So
They're doing more of that today. That's the reason they're not here in the meeting.
my suggestion would be, in your day-to-day, during this time of year, look for stuff for the tree board. You're out there.
Yeah.
We see stuff we don't see. You're in the
Yes.
fields. So bring it back to us and say, hey, maybe there's some ideas you've got, and what you see out there in the, in
I think
the,
that would be great.
yeah, that would be helpful, I think.
Okay, so moving on then, we're going into old business. And the first item I put in here was the board budget discussion, submission to commissioners. We've been saying we need to work on a budget. Having much of a budget has never really been a thing that the board has done, but I agree with the need to start doing that.
Did we have a budget this year? Did we have a budget this year?
There is only a little bit for publications if we needed them.
Have we used it?
No.
So what about like the trees that you wanna get, the plant later, do you have to buy them, or are they given,
I'm not sure I understand the question.
like the, trees that you wanna plant, walnut trees or whatever? Where do you get the tree from? That like in different areas that you want more trees planted? Do you have to pay for them, or do the state provide them, or what?
There are different sources for tree. The Arbor Day Foundation it sometimes makes trees available of different sorts. And
But I mean, do you have to pay for them, or are they given?
sometimes you do. Arbor Day also does an annual sale to members of selling seedlings that are saplings, I guess you'd say. That's one source. I don't know of other sources offhand, but
So, I mean,
if it,
well, what about just
you know, if
putting out to,
the Chestnut Foundation, for example, will also sell trees.
so what about just putting in for like $1,000, and then let the town council decide if 1,000 too much or too little, or want to give more and then just go with that, and next year we can decide if we need more or less, kind of thing.
You're talking about creating a fund
Yeah.
that the board could use for
Yeah.
planting of trees.
I like that idea. That'd be part of our budget. is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, so, I mean, it'd be separate from the plaque,
Oh, yeah, the plaque's separate, for sure.
but just knowing that next month or in 2 months, they got the board meeting and do the budget for the year. So just go ahead and just put in for $1,000 if you think that's enough to buy some trees or whatever in the fall that, to be planted or whatever else.
So that's a motion that you're saying that we would include in our budget an item for
Yeah,
For
just
tree
the
purchases.
purchase of
Yeah, I like that
trees.
idea.
trees or whatever we need, unless it's something big, then just say anyone wants to donate one, whatever, and put in, but if it's just little things here and there, just to have $1,000 or 800 or whatever town council approves, when they have their yearly budget meeting in a month or two.
Okay, so I'm going to try to handle this as one motion to cover the various items of the budget. So an amount for purchase of trees. One of the things I've been thinking about, is it called CIS? It's a photographic mapping of trees where there's an aerial map and you take GPS readings on trees so that you can pinpoint a particular tree on a map that you can then have in the program and print out. The program, I think it's called CIS. It's used, or GIS. I have to re-educate myself on this, but it's used by a lot of governmental entities and things, and we've actually used it here. There was a year when I was first getting involved with the tree board where there was an intern who was working with the town who had trained in the use of this system, and some of the maps that we've had in our system are on the system, and I've been thinking that would be a good tool that, because people have been talking about having software to be able to track trees and, keep tabs of trees. I think a good thing to put in a budget request would be the purchase of that software, and maybe training for somebody to learn how to use it. I don't know. I don't have the figures in mind is the only issue.
When is the budget due to the town?
I think it's April. I think that's when it's happening.
Okay. So
Maybe Mason, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Do you happen to know the answer to that question about when budgets would be finalized?
Yeah, budgets are, well, they're generally finalized at the June meeting. And I don't know when that is, but probably it's about it's the third, I believe, Thursday in June.
Okay.
But you'll need to be getting information. The town staff, Savannah, will begin gathering information for that budget in the next month or two. So
Yeah.
whatever the tree board wants to do, it needs to start communicating immediately with Savannah on that, and Rachel.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I had in mind, but I haven't seen anything about any due dates. So we could start the conversation here today, and at least by next month, finalize the items that we want to do, put in a request. Does that, Mason, that sound like it would be workable?
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
very workable, Brad.
Okay.
So I think also you're going to find out the cost of the software you talked about.
Yeah.
And what are cost of trees, like your idea, which is a good idea? These saplings, are they costly? What are they?
When Gene and I purchased some trees, that was from the Chestnut Foundation, little saplings and things that were not expected really to do all that way, as a way mostly of making a contribution. They were charging $25
So
per.
$1,000 will go a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, these are good ideas, because I think it's going to move the tree board
And then
forward.
whatever left,
Between the
you carry it
software.
over.
Yeah, I think your idea, the treasure tree, this is moving us forward in a positive way, in a very public way. The tree board does exist other than the fourth Tuesday of every month. That's great.
Okay. I think the software may be a fairly pricey thing, but it's time I knew what it would be, so
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth looking at for sure.
it's a very capable program. Yeah.
plus I know, the city of Asheville has just hired a full-time arborist with there's a full department down there now of trees. And I can make that phone call and see maybe there's some access, some, resources they can share with us as an incorporated town like they are. And I can call the county as well, which I'll do. They've got all kinds
Yeah,
of
I'm talking, yeah,
programs.
I've been talking about this particular thing because I've seen the product of it and it works well,
Okay.
but I'm totally open to other approaches too.
Get
if
me the
you learn
name,
them.
and I'll run it by some of these other people that I
Okay.
know.
All right.
The county's got programs, the city of Asheville, we are an incorporated town,
Yeah.
we should not forget that.
Okay. Since, and this is, well, we need to decide if we're asking for an amount to be put aside for trees on how much to do. Tyler was suggesting 1,000. I don't think that that's unreasonable. I was, my first thought was 500, but it doesn't really matter, so.
But I mean, if your program thing, you wanted 500, that's 500 for that, and 500 for trees, or just see what your program thing would be to get it up and running, and then,
Okay, so let's do our homework and,
Right, I think that's what we should do.
and come up with the figures at our next meeting.
I mean, just see if your program might be $1,000, or might be $500, or 300, so.
Okay, so are there any other budgetary needs that we have? There is the question of publications.
How much is still in our budget? We haven't used it, so how
We
much is
haven't
left?
used it.
How much?
We haven't,
No, I understand, but you said, we haven't used it, but how much do we have?
honestly, I forget how much we asked for.
Okay, we'll check that out.
Yeah,
I mean, you probably can ask the town when we walk out.
yeah,
Sports, so we have some ledger somewhere.
okay.
Okay. We want to use it for Arbor Day. We ought to use it, it's use it or lose it, I'm sure. There's no carryovers, is there, in the budget? Commissioner
It may
Blake, Commissioner Blake, are there carryovers in a budget from year to year?
No, not really, not a formal carryover.
Okay.
Everything is rebudgeted each year.
Okay, thank you. So we need to use it.
Okay, I think there is a need for, in connection with Arbor Day, there could be time, some advertising needs, things like that, to get the words out. So we should put at least a few hundred in there, or so forth, things like that.
For sure, whatever we have, we should spend. I'm
Okay,
sure it's not in the thousands. I doubt it's in the thousands.
no. Okay, any other thoughts or suggestions? Okay. Okay, so we'll do our homework and we'll solidify this next time. Everybody's in agreement with that.
Could you share with us before the meeting what you find out? I mean, our meeting's on the 26th of March.
You mean,
The
Yeah.
cost of the seeds or trees, the cost of the software, so maybe we come in on the 26th, we can talk about specifics.
Mhm.
Maybe 2 weeks before, 10 days before?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
okay. But you said you were going to be talking to to those other folks, if you get
Well-
information from them.
Well, I'll see what they have, but that's just general information.
Okay. All right. So that brings us down to right-of-way closures. And I'd like to recognize Mary, if she'd like to. The question is, there's been this tendency to move towards closing right-of-ways, kind of whoever wants to ask for it gets it kind of thing, it seems. And there's some concern about whether that's really a wise way to proceed, so.
So, my question comes to mind is it's right away, is that a responsibility of the tree board?
Well, in part, it would be to the extent that it involves public trees.
Okay.
On the other hand, it's a conversation that needs to happen, and I've been assuming that we start it here, and then we take it to the town council. That'll maybe move
So
things along.
when someone makes a request for a right-of-way, whatever the word is, variance, a right-of-way, do they make a formal application? And if they do, to what board or committee of the town do they do that?
Basically, what I've seen is it goes to the town council.
So it goes directly to the town council? And is it?
There may, the zoning person may be involved in those
Commissioner Blake?
conversations.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Okay, so when someone makes a request for a right-of-way closure, how does one go about doing that as a citizen?
They go to see Kayla.
They go to
And
Kayla. Okay.
there's an application,
There is an
right-of-way
application.
closure.
Okay,
I'm sorry?
okay, so there's an application, and then what does she do with that application?
Well, there's a formal process that's governed by state statute.
Okay.
And I don't know the details in North Carolina, and I can tell you in Florida, it requires sending letters to utilities, also getting information from Public Works staff to see what possible future uses are there for the right-of-way. Typically, surveys are required. There's a bunch of different requirements that are put together in a package of information. That's and again, you have to have Kayla to tell you everything she requires as part of that application. But once it's finalized, then the application is scheduled on the agenda of the town council for its consideration.
Okay, all right. That answers, thank you, that's good information. There is a formal application, and it sounds like it's pretty involved and detailed.
So, Mary, you were wanting to say?
Yes, part of this conversation, and Mason and I have talked, and we talked about this at length at the January meeting as well, is if when the comprehensive plan was finalized last summer, the tree board actually could be one of a number of places to start the process. It could be other committees as well. But tree board in particularly was tasked with protecting the tree canopy in Montreat. So it makes some sense if the tree board feels that way and the council feels that way, is to start looking at how the rights of ways that the town of Montreat commissioners hold as part of their public interest and how they're dealt with for the public interest. That, and in state statute, if I recall correctly, there is some allowance that public interest could include other things besides just a roadway or an alley or a gas line. So the thoughts are, in my mind, that one of the things that would be in the public interest for the rights of ways that are controlled as well they should be and are decided on a case-by-case basis by the town council, it would not be coming back to the tree board for review, you know, any of those sorts of things. But to have something within whatever the proper avenue is, but codified in some way, written down for the future, that when the way it works, more or less, and Mason, correct me if I'm wrong, the council typically will reach out to staff for a recommendation.
and the staff will come back, and either council will either approve or disapprove based on staff. Well, staff comes and goes and staff changes, but if right at the moment the way rights of ways are more or less defined as a standard way of just for, as I say, roadways or utilities. But if the town of Montreat addressed some of the broader issues that you've actually spoken about today, with even Arbor Day, it's not just about planting a tree, it's about protecting trees, as the original intent has expanded. So even within that context of protecting tree canopy, wildlife walkways, places to plant chestnuts, permeability of the soil, as we are now dealing with stormwater issues as people are building high and higher up the mountains, so that there be language crafted. And I think the committee was going to get together with Savannah to get some language to bring back to this committee for you to look at and to craft something along that way among the committee. So that sort of needs to be what happens in my thoughts, that there needs to be a working craft. And I think Savannah and the committee were going to work on that, if I remember from the January meeting. So, but again, what I hear the discussion of green space and Arbor Day, everything you've been talking about, even for the Arbor Day, talking about maintenance of tree canopy is probably as important as putting a tree in the ground. We've got lots of trees now. There was a point in time when this started, everything had been cut. And one of the things is I have watched the Board of Adjustments meeting and seeing what's going on at the town and watching what happens. Again, Mason, let me know if I'm off base on any of this. Once the town right-of-ways are closure, and remember, the council is holding these in public trust. The town owns in trust for the residents. But once that right-of-way is closed, at this point in time, and I don't know if there are no conditions that require the individual to whom the right-of-way is given, which would be the adjacent. If they say they're going to use it for this, there's no condition that says that will actually be used for that. And I think Arrington mentioned at some meeting I was at, is that can they go in and cut every tree on the property? Yes, they can cut every tree on the property at this point in time. So that might be some language too, if it can be done legally. Once that right-of-way is closed and ownership or the rights to it given to the adjacent landowners, they can deed it, they can sell it, they can give it to they can sell it immediately. And that person, it goes with the property at that point in time. So I'm just proposing for the committee to consider, but again, what you need is a working draft of some language so that you can move forward. And if the committee, I think Savannah was going to work on that. So if the committee wants to work with her on getting some language back in the next meeting or two, that might be helpful. And since I have the microphone, and I like the microphone, if you have, again, speaking to protection of canopy, I'm really excited about the treasured trees. Most of the treasured trees are up, or MRA, town, or the town. I don't know if you have enough money for the town to cover their cost out of your budget for this time, as a thought. I have no idea.
You mean for the plaques?
The plaques.
Well, I'm going to try to sell them to individuals.
Oh, okay, so I didn't know if you had permission to get sponsors rather than having the institutions.
Oh.
Is that what your plan is, rather than going to the town for, that's?
Yeah, I'm not going to ask the town to.
or
I mean,
MRA?
I'm open to it. This is a board, so it's not up to me, but I was just going to get the okay from the town, which we did, to have this
And then look for
program
sponsors?
on the right-of-ways, which I think they gave me that okay at the last commissioners meeting. And I'll go out to, resident A, resident B, and say, hey, we've got a tree at this address. Would you like to sponsor it in memory or honor of? Even though it's on an MRA. Well, the MRA is
Okay.
a separate situation.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that.
Right.
I think that you
Yes.
might get some sponsorships,
Yeah.
even
I got
without.
3 people already.
There you go. That sounds like a good move.
It's easy.
To do that. It's a lot of money for the town or MRA since they own
Right.
most.
I need to
That's
get
a
their
good-
permission.
But anyway, all of that fits well under these same general purposes of preserving canopy and awareness and those. But again, sort of the specifics of the guidance from Savannah and the committee on getting some sort of language to then present to, I presume it would go through a forever process, which is the way things work in government, of going through to council, and the council would refer it to planning and zoning, and the planning and zoning would then come back. So if it's going to happen, it needs to be started, and this is a reasonable place to start it.
I agree.
And- Go ahead.
Thank you. The sense I'm getting is nobody really knows how this process of obtaining a right-of-way really works. That's the.
Oh, we
sense-
know how it works. It's redefining what's in the public interest, so that the town
Okay,
has an
okay.
ordinance that says
Right.
it's not just important for
Right.
a road
Okay.
or a gas line, it's
Okay.
also important for da-da-da. So when staff is asked to
Right.
evaluate, they can come back to council and say it has some public interest.
Okay. So I'm supposed to see Kayla, since Commissioner Blake mentioned that Kayla would be the one that handled the initial request. I actually going to see her tomorrow about something else, and I'll mention it to her and maybe start the conversation.
Yeah, and Savannah was here in January, had mentioned it too, so whatever the committee wishes to do in moving it forward.
So I'll take the responsibility to bring back to the board on the 26th of March some specifics about the current, how it's done in this town.
If that's what,
Yeah,
And
I'll
as
do
a,
that, for sure.
as a board, I think it would be good for us to be developing our own plans, things, proactive things that we would like to be doing within the community. And there's talking of planting trees. I mean, the question, if and when chestnuts start becoming viable things in the community, we may very well want to be establishing places to plant chestnuts, and that's one example. But I think that we need to be developing the tree board voice with the town commissioners. There's also the what you call it, the what's the other committee that
Land care?
No, the smaller committee that talks about no.
well, it's planning and zoning.
No, it's.
It'll
I'm
come.
blanking. Open space committee.
But open space acquires property. But you were specifically, I think tree boards make such sense, and sort of one reason I sort of have
I wasn't
hesitated,
saying
because
not,
you've been
I wasn't
contest.
saying not tree board, but I'm saying that but there are these one or two other committees that
Could join with you.
could join us and whether there be
Absolutely.
a voice about what to do with these bits of town and what to do with the Montreat. How does this look? I mean, I don't think that naturally the trees were as crowded as they are a lot around here. I think.
We're actually at the end of a natural rotation. This land was completely clear cut in the 1890s to be a sheep ranch. It was completely clear cut from the gate all the way up to to where the current lake is. So, and the sheep ranch failed. I'm giving you a history lesson here, so tell me. But they didn't know the natural history of things at that point in time. So the sheep would eat the mountain laurel. Mountain laurel has a toxin. The sheep died. So it failed. So basically, everything that you see here is second growth, and they're probably getting to the end of their natural rotation. Here, a little over 100 years. So the reason you have a lot of dying oaks, that's natural. That's going on. And then, of course, the chestnut blight has those sorts of things. But trees grow and come in, and actually what we have is a lot of rhododendron, which the foresters think is awful. It's just like a little kindling. It's full of fat. So all of those, but I'm off base and off target there, which is interesting. But I think protecting the tree canopy and giving our staff some, and our council members some guidance of why these spaces are important and within the legal aspects of, and not making this overly complicated. Again, the responsibility will lie with every elected council for a case-by-case basis.
So we need
thank you.
to be looking at
Thank you
our
very much.
at the time here, but you raised some very good points, and I think that we need to be thinking about what is our role in tree board to help shape what the valley is going to look like, and speaking up town council a bit would be a step in the right direction. So let's move on. We've already talked about treasured trees, so that brings down to calendar. I passed out this little thing. It's only a beginning. Two here is, my idea of Ann Vinson, my predecessor, used to have a thing that she called a calendar, although it didn't really have dates on it. It was a list of things that we were going to try to talk about during the course of the year, and she kind of spread them out through the year. I'm trying to do something like that,
That's a
but
good idea.
I'm combining that with another thing that has come up. I experienced a really horrendously crazy time at the end of the year last year, 2023, because there was Christmas, there was Thanksgiving, and they all happened at particular dates, which totally conflicted with the schedule, the tree board meeting dates. And so there were 2 or 3 months when we were not really able to meet because the town hall was closed or other things that were interfering with the schedule as we're kind of locked into this end of the month kind of thing. So what I did the other day was I went through the 2024 calendar, and the dates that you see there, 26th of March, 23rd of April, and on down, are the dates that the tree board meeting would happen, all the way down to the bottom. But December does end up being, how many days are being taken for holidays and things like that become an issue with our December date. So I think that we would be in good stead if we were to schedule our meeting for the 17th of December instead of the following week, the 24th, which is Christmas Eve. So what I'm proposing here is that the board agree with me on that, and I would take this revised schedule to the town council for the town council to say, yes, okay, you can meet on the 17th of December. I'd rather do it with the town council than try to persuade Angie, because Angie isn't going to bend the rules for, just for our whims, and it needs to be done well in advance. And I think that would take her off the hook, and it would make it really clear that this is something that's legitimate to do. So I would move that the dates that are here be adopted as our potential, pending approval of the town council, the dates that are here would be our plan for the rest of the year, including January 25th, and January, not 25th, the 2025 is the first, our last meeting of this year is actually the January meeting in 2025, so.
So if I look at the schedule, the only dates, we usually meet on the fourth Tuesday of every month.
Right.
And the only date on your proposed calendar that is not the fourth Tuesday of every month is December 17th.
Yeah, when I looked at,
You're only asking for that one change.
right,
Okay.
when I looked through it, I didn't see any other months where there was a potential conflict that I could see.
The only thing
so-
I would say is the 26th of November, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, because this year Thanksgiving is the latest it can be, which is the 28th of the month.
Uh-huh.
It's the fourth Tuesday. So you're okay, I'm okay with it?
I'm okay. There might be people wanting to go out of town that week,
Okay.
but I think
Okay.
it's a couple of days beforehand, so,
Yeah, so it's the only change you're asking for is the December meeting.
yes.
Okay.
So I'll make that movement, and,
I second that.
okay. Any further discussion about it? Okay. So I'll do that. I'll take it to the council and let you know.
Now, back to the calendar. So I think the calendar's a good idea. I don't know if this is going to be accessible to all members or just once a month when you bring it in updated. If it's just going to be accessible to all of us from meeting to meeting, I'd like to know if, and I know maybe a lot of work, is not just specific dates of things happening, but some to-do lists. Like, we talked about maybe getting things to the board members within 10 days from the board. And we see that on a to-do list, almost like a project type of calendar, not just on this date, this is going to happen.
Yeah, I hadn't gone in that far in my own thinking.
Okay.
I was going to say that, that this is open to anybody who would want to make additions to it. It's not a
Okay,
exhaustive list
so,
here. And it's not a bad idea what you're saying.
yeah, so maybe no, not to turn you into a secretary, maybe if I say, Brad, can you put this on the tree board calendar, you'll just add it. Is that
Let's
right?
see how it works.
What?
Yeah, okay, let's see how
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah, I'm not going to inundate you.
And anybody can propose things to be added to the calendar or changes in the calendar, and,
Yeah,
well, and
I think it'll keep us better organized. Like, I've made a commitment to come back on the 26th with information about a couple things, and that should be on the calendar.
okay. All right, I don't know that we need to make a decision, a motion on that, but it's going to be a tool that we're going to be using.
Yeah, okay.
So
You're going
anybody,
to maintain it, is that it? Or is Tyler going to maintain it as a secretary? Well, you decide.
since I think I'll do it for the time being.
Okay.
Okay, anything else that I'm missing here? If not, I think we've come to the end of it.
Okay.
Next meeting is March 26th. Same place.
Same time.
Same
I move that we adjourn.
All those in favor, stand up and leave. Thank you.
All right, productive meeting, okay. All right.
Thank you, Mason.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad to be here.
Okay. Where, here or here?
Well, wherever. Electronically.
Yeah, here, here, here.
Good meeting, guys and
It's a
gals.
voice
Thank
from
you.
on high. It's a,
Take care, everybody.
Bye, you
yeah.
two have a good day.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
sitting in.
You too.
So when you, get from MRA about.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you
let me
keeping
know.
our nose to
Okay.
the grindstone
Take
there.
two of them.
Okay, great.
I need it.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. Okay, great. Bye, Mary.
Bye.
Thank you for that education. I'm going up there very soon. Someone showed up, and they even told me they were coming. I gotta go see what she's up to. I'll be there by noon, for sure. Yeah. All right, thanks. All right. You got till 7:30 tonight, 7:30 tomorrow. You got a lot of time. Okay, you ready? You made your decisions, huh?
So who do you,
Okay, see ya.
so who do
Bye-bye.
you talk to, Richard Bode about it?
I'm gonna talk to Barry or Dan, and they know the right people. Go talk to this person at the grounds people.
MRA?
Yeah, I know Richard, but I hate to get into a big rap again about the whole program. I figured maybe Barry or Dan can short circuit and go, yeah, you know, they know their people at the MRA who take care of the grounds. But they may say, you know what, it's okay with us, but we need to speak to so-and-so, fine. I mean,
Yeah, I would talk to John.
John, I don't know John, who's at MRA.
Yeah, yeah.
You know John?
Yeah,
You know him well? Talk to him.
yeah, I'll,
Talk to him, show him this. You know the program,
yeah.
and see what he says.
I'll tell John, and then,
You want the plaque to show him temporarily? What's gonna go on the tree? Take it with you and
yeah,
and get
I'll
back
tell John, and if John says go to,
yeah, exactly. He may say it's,
Or,
let him know that when it goes in the tree, it's on springs.
yeah,
So it's not like getting nailed in. It's gonna, you know, you've
Yeah.
heard all the testing. You've heard all. All right, give it a go. Let me know. And I'll handle the other ones. I'll handle the town is just for us to sell. The town is not gonna give us the money for the plaques. And they already approved putting the plaques on the town trees. And there's a couple private owners here. One's Ann Vinson and one is, that church group. And I think there's two or three of them. I'll call them. Okay, all right. It won't be hard to get rid.